All right, guys, carry.
Jared, are you taking requests?
So we were shooting at a playground.
That's right.
We had a scene where we're talking on a bench. And I remember distinctly Jared walking down the path nearby, just off camera, shouting and throwing things at us. You said, "You're a child." And I thought, what have I gotten into? It was a lovely memory.
There were other words that I wanted to use, but we were at a public park.
It was a children's playground.
When there were children around. And
I may have
in yelling
sanitized.
that you're a child, I realized that I just insulted every child that was on the playground. I know, it was fun. How's it going, baby?
It's going great.
I just want you to know that this is generally what it's like filming a scene with the three of us. Yeah, no, it's remarkably accurate. Imagine two guys just there to do their job and do it well. And then
a challenge.
And then having a swarm of bees come through that you literally have just learned to completely ignore. And it may sting a bit. And it may be a little uncomfortable. Just warming up. Sometimes that swarm of bees moves on. And sometimes it doesn't. We should probably just take some questions.
Yeah, what's your question?
How do Dean and Cass keep influencing each other to fight the good fight?
Well, one thing we do is we just turn off the music. Nope, he's got two keyboards, guys.
Who left the keyboards on up here? Somebody is in big trouble.
No, because basically, if you want to hear things, sometimes you just gotta take a hands-on approach. And the good news is he still hears it.
So you're asking us about Dean and Cass influencing each other?
Hey, did y'all hear the one about when that white horse fell in the mud? Let's go to Padaleki! Most days. Most days. Just like that. Yes, that's why we don't have nice things.
I mean, we do have remarkable moments on set. Where...
Remind me.
Where I think, he's not really doing that, is he? But he is. So I'm really good, as you can attest, at like staying in character, not breaking, being super focused, because I'm just in another character. I'm in character. I'm thinking like Cass. So when Cass sees Sam.
I don't know if I can quite do it, but I'll just demonstrate a little bit.
I'll demonstrate a little bit. He had his jacket on his arm inside his jacket in such a way that you couldn't see that his arm wasn't in his jacket, and then he turned around and went like this. And I just stayed so focused. And didn't break at all. And that's pretty hard for the force.
Yeah, no, normally, most people, you'd lose it for a half an hour. But you really held it together that day.
I always do. You know what? Sometimes, what's remarkable is sometimes the camera operator will say, Brad will say, Misha, nice work. You almost didn't break this. Or something like that to encourage
Yeah, it's never a compliment of like, wow, that was really an amazingly emotional scene, and you really knocked it out of the park. It's wow, you really were able to deliver your lines
for part of that scene.
And it was, I could understand what you were actually saying.
I get that sometimes from the crew, which is so, it's like, that's so
you really, you reach for the stars. You should be proud of yourself.
I'm actually really proud of the moment when I decided to stop trying to not break, because there was a period of several years where I was like, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like, why is it that I always laugh? And then I was like, you know what? Fuck them. I'm going to laugh. And they're just going to have to wait. And that was a very liberating moment for me. Because I was doing all this shit, like trying to bite my cheeks and things like that to try to not laugh.
And it's interesting now because Alex, who plays Jack, is now trying to do anything and everything that he can not to break. And he's going to that idea of like, I'm gonna get fired. Like I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
why am I laughing? Why am I breaking? Why am I allowing these idiots to get to me? Idiot. It's really just guilt by proximity at this point. I don't help. Put it that way.
The first scene that we all had together was because I've been through this now for years and years, almost a decade, where every time we're in a scene together, I'm basically abused by the crew. And it's very hard. There was at that one time when you actually apologized to me the next day because it was so bad. Remember that?
I legitimately felt bad about that day.
Yes, you should have.
It went to a point of no return.
Yeah.
And we didn't stop.
And so I've been through that, and I know the pain, and I know the pain of the fact that the director is always in another room watching on the monitors. They don't see the shit that you're doing
off camera.
They just see what I'm doing on camera, and they're like, Misha, come on, man, pull it together. And I'm like, that's not fair. Somebody's touching my gonads. lived through that and knowing the experience of how traumatic that is, when Alex came along and started to get abused by you guys, I was like, sweet! Somebody, and I just jumped right on board, and I was like, well,
I do have to say that day, that horrible day, it was so, he was such a whipping post that it got so fun that everybody started to join in. So much so that our B camera operator, Brian Rose, had the camera on his shoulder, was filming Misha. I was standing directly next to him. And Brian, in the middle of the take, just decided to just take his shorts off.
oh yeah!
And Misha's like, you too? Really? And Brian's like,
That was the day that people drove over from the production offices to watch.
yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah. They were like, oh,
It's on, guys.
It's Kill Misha Day.
Game on.
And that's when I was like, okay, this may have ballooned
You know what
out
my
of control.
favorite part of that day was when we turned around and the camera was on you guys. I was like, I'm gonna get these guys. I'm gonna get down. So I made a paper airplane and I threw it and it just went like straight to the floor. So
I don't know what's better, the fact that you thought, I'm gonna get them, I'm going to make a paper airplane and throw it at them. Or the fact that amazing plan of just sweet revenge went like this. I mean, you really knocked it out of the park with that one.
I really did.
Whew.
Yeah. Let's not talk about this anymore.
We can move on. You want to do questions?
Yeah,
What side do you want?
that one.
Okay. Hi there.
Hi. Yesterday
20
we got
minutes,
to
one
hear a little
question.
bit about filming the cowboy scene for Misha and his original version of his cowboy walk. Do you
Did you demonstrate?
I'll do it again. And the amazing thing is, the way they edited it, it looks, in slow motion, it looks cool. It's these little clips, and you can't tell that I'm doing that. Obviously, the joke didn't play, and they were like, no, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
they
no.
didn't use it.
They didn't use it.
No.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well,
Why would they forego such comic genius? You know what I mean? I remember. Why are you laughing?
because I loved it.
I thought it was funny.
Because this wasn't Cass's version of a cowboy walk.
It was Misha.
This was Misha's version of a cowboy walk. And it very closely resembles Goofy. From Disney. And that's okay. And then he looks at me and he's like, well, that's what you're doing. And I'm like, no. I'm walking like this. Now that's a cowboy walk.
Next question.
Thanks.
Hi, boys.
Hi.
How you?
So I just finished watching season 1 through 12 with my mom, and over the past 5 months, so we always have something puzzling at the end of each DVD, and that was Supernatural can't be played in churches and such, and in that list was oil rigs. Do you guys know why or have personal thoughts on that?
No one listen.
What?
And you list at the end of DVDs where it says like the warning it can't be played in like churches, kind of given for Supernatural, but other venues and stuff, and in that list there is oil rigs. Do you guys know why?
Is this like a Warner Brothers warning?
I think so, yeah, it's probably part of it.
Wait, does anyone what?
Does anyone else know what?
It counts as like a public broadcast, so it'd be like playing it in a theatre or something.
Oh, it's like playing it in a theater if you play it in an oil rig.
Yes. It's on
Sure, I
most-
get
it's
that.
on
That makes
most
sense.
TV.
Yeah.
It could cause the oil rig to explode.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything sinister. I think it's just some sort of a copyright law that is oddly includes oil rigs.
Well,
Because Lord knows what goes on there.
yeah, no, actually, we had some super fans on oil rigs for a while, and they just got out of control. There was a lot of, they were doing some really kind of creepy cosplay stuff that finally we just had to ask them to stop.
They're not allowed to play the DVDs on oil rigs anymore now.
And obviously there's some guys on oil rigs that don't do that, but it was a big problem with a lot of them, and so unfortunately everybody had to get punished.
Hashtag not all oil rigs.
Glad we can clear that up for you.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Hi.
I love that now there will be fan fiction about what this
Don't let us down.
No. We will be using all of the proper Boolean search terms soon, so.
Hi. I was wondering, as far as for the many years you guys have been filming together, what was the most memorable moment for you that changed from a working friendship to a friendship to making it a family?
I don't know if I can beat the question. That was a great question.
I have this thing that I do, which I think I've shared with you this before, but I have this thing that I do, which is every year around New Year's, I write down my goals. And I think it's like goals for the year, things you want to do for the year. And the year that I got on Supernatural, I wrote down the goal. The goal that I had that year was I want to be a series regular on a show with a cast that becomes my lifelong friends. And I don't know why I picked that thing to say about being on a show, because it really isn't necessarily part of a career move. But I did, and I was actually just thinking about that earlier today. It's like, that's really strange, because I actually feel like you guys and this whole crew, we're such a remarkably tight group of people. We love hanging out with each other. And it's been a gradual evolution to get to that point. Like, we all have grown to know and like and trust each other over time more and more. But I personally feel like we really have something very special in this cast. The extended cast, I mean, all the people that show up at these conventions are people whom I love. I love them. And that it wasn't fast, and it didn't happen at a moment. We hated each other for quite some time.
Yeah, there was a moment when you were like, wow, when I make those lists, I need to be much more specific. It's a series of events, I think, that leads to friendships. You can meet somebody and right away have an instant connection. Or you can meet somebody and be like, that was a cool person. Wouldn't mind hanging out with them again. And then that opportunity presents itself. And then now you've just furthered that relationship. And because relationships need to be nurtured. And when you have a show that has fortunately been on as long as it has, you're able to nurture relationships properly. And I think that when you have the right people nurturing those relationships, you get friendships. And that's what we've found. And not only with, a few people, with a lot of people. I know. I feel you. One of the moments that because he's up here. One of the moments that jumps out to me that was like one of those moments that kind of furthers a relationship into a friendship was he and I were getting to know each other. We went out for dinner out at the, where are we, Gastown in Yaletown, and we sat down at this table, and it was this really kind of cool bar, and the waitress came up and she says, "Do you guys know what you want?" And Misha takes my menu out of my hands, takes his menu, hands him to her, and goes, "We'll take the 3 least ordered items on the menu." Now that would be fine if it was, you know, a burger joint or, you know, a steakhouse or something to that degree. This was like a very kind of new age kind of a restaurant.
They had brains on the menu.
Yeah, you wonder why we know that. So we had that. We had sweetbreads, which is basically fried clams. And I'm like, man,
You're like, man, this friendship's gonna be a lot of work.
and I remember there was a piece of me that was like, I hate him right now. But I think I love him a little bit more too. Like it's just and it's, I think it's moments like that we've been able and very fortunately enough to have a lot of, and those really, you know, they solidify friendships, and that's what we're very thankful to have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm a little bit more nervous than I thought I'd be, so that kind of sucks. But
So is Misha. So.
Okay, good. So my friend Cindy was supposed to ask you this at DCCon. This is for Misha. Sorry.
Fine, just fine. You guys just nerve it out.
What was your inspiration for the accent for Dark Empty?
Ooh, yes. What was your inspiration?
And was it your choice or the director?
Was it my choice?
Yeah.
I like the way you phrased that. Like, did somebody force you to do that horrible accent?
Did you lose a bet?
What happened? What went wrong to get me there? Is that what you're asking?
No, I love that.
That accent, I think, was remarkable in that there was definitely no thread that would connect it to any geographic location in the world. It was definitely nebulous. Not by design, just by pure
Let's hear a little bit of it.
skill. I don't even know if I could replicate it. Yes? Yes? Yes. You like that water, do you? Yeah. You're like a gnat in my head, driving me crazy. And I am from an oil rig in the Atlantic. That's what it is. Actually, that's a classic Atlantic oil rig accent. That's why we don't let them act. That's the real reason we don't let them watch Supernatural on oil rigs, because they'll take offense at the accent. Thanks for asking.
But what was the inspiration for that, though? Were you literally just trying to think of the most annoying accent you could possibly think of, or? Or did you have a cold that day?
No, because I had to switch back and forth between.
It was very nasally.
It was really,
Like a very up here.
It was very.
For some weird reason.
It was,
I don't know why.
That reminded me of that episode at the end when you were playing two, like, future Dean and present Dean, talking to each other, and there was this moment when you were sitting.
Yeah, but I wasn't playing different Dean. I was playing.
Yeah, but it was two Deans, but they were like slightly, you know, one had been.
One was just 5 years into living in an apocalypse world. That's it.
Okay, whatever. Yes, admittedly, there was very little nuance.
I didn't
between
change
the
my vibes. no reason.
I remember you sitting on the ground. It was raining.
Ding, 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 ding.
It was raining, and you were sitting on the ground, and there was like smoke coming out of your ears when you were shooting that episode. Like,
Yeah.
You were like, I will never do this again. You probably will do it again because they'll write a script and you have to do whatever they say. But it was really
It's
hard.
really
It
difficult.
was really hard, and the way we were filming that,
Did you
they
play-
they were like,
You need to do.
you know what? Switch characters. I mean, like that. Like switch characters. Do it again, but do it as the other guy. And that's how
So you almost needed that accent to
I
differentiate
needed
it.
something to differentiate it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That makes sense.
Otherwise,
you would have been so.
no one watching it would have had any idea which character was which, which
that's
would have
true.
been confusing, and I wouldn't have known which was which.
That's true.
And I barely did as it stood. So,
I thought it was good.
thanks, man.
Hi.
Aloha, e kamo mai I Hawaii ne. Welcome to Hawaii.
I caught half of that.
Aloha.
In the past, Misha's sometimes on Gishwa's items like making Skittles into Jensen's face and so forth. What kind of Gishwa's item does Jensen wish Misha would make about him to torment him in the future? And on the other hand, what does Misha ever secretly wish that Jensen would unleash some kind of Gishi madness upon him?
What?
I'm going to go ahead and not read into that last question, but
Again, I just understood about half of that.
so there's like a theme in Gishwas now, which is from the Skittles thing. You know, the last one we did was paint your face on a single Skittle.
Yes, I remember
That was
that.
remarkable. People really can do that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they can write your name on a piece of rice.
They can.
Is there anybody here that can do that? Is there anybody here that like rice writes?
Rice painters.
You got one over there.
Liar.
Any others? All right. One out of this is not that bad. Yeah, that. Of course.
Obvious.
You seen how talented our fans
No,
are?
they're pretty good.
You know,
So can I tell you another
here
story?
is the one thing that I would say that would be my sweet revenge on him for the whole Skittle gate. I would say that of course this would take some cooperation, but I would say that whoever won needs to spend an entire day watching Jared mess with Misha.
You mean wins Gishwas?
Yeah,
That's the prize for winning?
not winning. I don't know how this thing works, so I'm just
Not winning. Losing.
losing.
The loser of Gishwas. I love the idea of having a new category. Like, your team is, of everybody, the absolute worst. And so you have to come and watch Jared torture Misha.
Subject yourself
on set.
to the horror. Yeah, I don't know. Skittles are pretty good, and there's a reason why I don't, submit ideas. Because they're either too dark, they're inappropriate, or they're just not good enough.
There was the year that the mosaic of Jensen's face from Skittles was an item, and Jensen happened to walk into an electronics store where someone was like, "You got to turn around," and one of the employees in the store was working on making a mosaic of his face, and he was like, "What the hell is going on? How is that possible?" So that year, this friend of mine actually was on a Gishwas team, and he made a Jensen. He never watched Supernatural, had no idea, but he made a Jensen Ackles mosaic portrait in Skittles. And he's like, "Yeah, I thought, I'm certainly not going to hang this up in my place, so I thought you should have it." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And I stuck it in the closet. And then Vicky was like, a few months later, she's like, "We have to get rid of that, the Jensen Skittle thing."
Jensel?
because rats are eating the candies off it, and it's attracting rats. Which I
It's an
think
attractive thing.
Yeah. Hi guys. How are you? Ah, boo, hate you.
You know, I can go for a little music.
So they turn so quickly.
What?
Yeah.
No, you're just coming out to add a little flavor, right?
That's right, we're just adding a little flavor. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. I gotta find my microphone.
Okay. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing, buddy? What are we doing? I told this story in our panel about Jensen, you know you're winning. This is my face when I'm winning. This is my face when I'm losing. This is my face.
Is this
Charming man to play cards
Is that
with.
cards? I recognize cards, Jensen. Yeah.
It's cards. No, charming man to play cards with. Real delightful.
Rob was on my team one time playing cards.
Yeah.
I was there.
How'd that go?
He hit me in my arm. And I looked at him like this and I go, not me. Right?
True story.
Not me.
He made a wrong move. So I punched him. And with just the most intensity, he looks at me and goes, not me! It was like, not tonight! That's not happening!
Of all nights, on our special night.
It's not going down that road today, Jensen! Not on my watch! And I instantly was like, I respect that.
Sounds so much better. Then again,
That is a bit butcher than your version, which was more along the lines of, not me.
yeah, in all fairness, everything I say sounds like, not me. You tell a great story, Jensen.
But it was the first time that you literally, hey, not me! And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Just trembling inside, please. It's good. Keep going. One of two ways. You tell a great story, then again you have perfect ear canals, so I wouldn't expect anything less. You guys know that story when the guy came up to measure his ears for these? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Not only
I
we know
hate
the
that
story.
story.
Not only they know the story, they're over it. So we have a special thing for you. Rather than have the man waste their precious energy, Jared Padalek is going to play you off. Jared, play that song you wrote to the boys, and Rob will sing.
Let's show the smooth stylings of Jared Padalecki.
song we actually sing. You've never seen the end of the convention, but this is what we This is what we do. This is the end of the band, and my time on the stage. Dominic is done. We're done. So if you know the song, join us. Take it, boys.